In this video, what we're going to do is we're going to get you to put the beetle and the hammer to the appropriate sizes, and we're going to make that hammer do a whacking motion to make it go up and down. So let's go to work. What do we have to do? Now, I'm not going to do a watch and repeat type video. This isn't going to be how this is going to work. I'm going to give you some clues as to things that you need. I'm going to show you the blocks that you need. Then you're going to put it together. And if it doesn't work, it's not a problem. There's a solution video in a moment. Hopefully, you won't need it. Let's start with the easy bit. Let's go to the beetle. And we want to say, the game starts, by the way, when you press the green flag. So, when we press the green flag, we want that beetle to be much smaller. We want the hammer to be a hell of a lot smaller as well, but the beetle needs to be smaller than it is. So I'm going to do this. Over on the left-hand side, we've got something called events. And in events, the very first one is when green flag is clicked, or in other words, when the game is started. So, I'm going to do the beetle for you. We're going to go to looks. Sorry, I should have said we're going to go to looks now, because we want to change the size of it. We want to change what it looks like. And in looks, we have this two blocks here, change size by 10 and set size to 100%. I see a lot of students in the past, they always use change size. We don't want that, we actually want set size. So if I do this, and I press the green flag, nothing's happened, because the beetle is at 100% of its original size, in other words, the same size. If I change that to, if I go into there and delete that, and let's change that to a 50, let's see what happens when we press the green flag. Now the beetle is much smaller. And I'm kind of okay with the size of that beetle. Might want it smaller when I build my real game, I don't know yet. But for the moment, that will do. But one thing is for sure, the hammer is absolutely enormous. Absolutely enormous. I don't want that. So, what we're going to need is, again, events. When the green flag is clicked, we need looks, and we're going to have set size too. Now, I'll do this one. Let's make that a 10%. Will that be small enough? Actually, that's not bad. I like that. But I want that hammer to be whacking up and down. And to do that, we've got a little bit of teaching to do, and I'm going to show you some blocks that you need, and I'm going to give you the opportunity to work it out. So that hammer, when we press the green flag, it should be whacking up and down. So how do we do that? Well, we need the following commands. Well, actually, first of all, before we do the following commands, we need to draw another version of this hammer. Let me show you something. Let's go to costumes, where we have this hammer. And what we want is we want the hammer sort of, this is in its up position, and maybe you want the hammer sort of lying flat as if you're whacking down on it. But I can't move this hammer. I'm trying to click on it. And nothing is happening. Because with a graphic that I bring into Scratch, I need to do this. I need to convert it to a vector. I just have to hit this button here. And when I click on it, it looks like nothing has happened. But now, actually, I can actually click on the hammer. And you will notice that I can move the hammer around. Now, I don't want to do that. So I press Control Z there to undo. Let me just do that again for you. If you move something by mistake, you can either hit Control Z on your keyboard, or you can press this button here, which is the undo button. And I do that, and it took it back. But what I want to do is, I need you to look up in this top left-hand corner here. It says costumes, and this is what we call costume number 1. You can see number 1 there, and it says hammer. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to right-click, and I'm going to duplicate. So now I have two costumes. Costume number 1 is called hammer. Costume number 2 is called hammer 2. But hammer 2, I want that to lie flat. But because I've converted it to a vector, and I click on it, I can now, down here, I can rotate it. Oh no, that was a mistake. Let's undo that. What I really want to do is make it lie flat. So now I have hammer, and I have hammer 2, and you can kind of see what's going on here. It looks like it's whacking it down. So I'm kind of happy with that. Well, I'm happy with the positions of the graphics, but I haven't told the computer to keep switching between the costume of Hammer and Hammer 2. So how do we do that? Well, over here, I'm going to show you the blocks that you need. You can see switch costume to Hammer 2. Wow! Look what happens. If I just put that there for a moment, watch my hammer there. Look at that, it's gone down. But I want it to go back up again. So in fact, I'm going to need two commands. One to switch the costume to Hammer 2 and one to switch the costume to Hammer. But then what of course I'm going to need is that I'm going to need to tell it, and this is, sorry, I actually clicked on Control actually. There's a command here to wait 1 second. And I can go in here and I can make that 0.1 if I want to. So that's like a real tenth of a second, or if I want half a second, I can make it 0.5. The time that you choose is completely up to you, but what you're also going to need is this command here, a forever loop. Now, what needs to happen is this. You want to say this hammer forever is going to start at costume Hammer, then it's going to wait a period of time, and then it's going to switch to Hammer 2, and then it's going to wait a period of time, and then it's going to go back to Hammer 1 or Hammer. So I'm going to get you to work out what you think needs to happen. This is your challenge now. Can you put these blocks of code into this forever loop and then put the forever loop and glue it up there so that when you press that green button, your hammer is whacking up and down? Now, I've missed a block out. See if you can work out how I've missed a block out. Try it and see if you can solve it yourself. And if you can't, there's a solution video for you in a moment. Don't need a new block. I just need two of one of those blocks that's there. But I've only got one off at the moment. See if you can work it out anyway. Off you go.